Derive customer value and digital transformation with Visio. We have Mr. Saurabh Gaur here with us today to present this topic. And I'm sure you would all agree, life without Visio will be very difficult in our line of work. So we'll try to understand how Visio will be used in deriving customer value and digital transformation. Saurabh has 15 years of extensive experience in software development industry, where he has led a team of business analysts for a top-tier hedge fund. He has driven process re-engineering and application portfolio management projects for leading financial services organization and led several software product development initiatives. So he works as a principal program manager at Microsoft. Let's welcome Saurabh.
Hey, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming back. I was a little apprehensive when I was standing here all alone looking at these empty chairs, but really great to see you guys come back, and what a great day we've had so far. Bunch of exciting sessions, very in-depth discussions, a lot of focus on customers. That's what a BA's dream is, focusing on customers, trying to understand what they have in their mind, trying to somehow piece that puzzle together and make sure that then he can get that thing delivered with the help of his engineering team. And hearing the comments that were made today during the entire day has kind of left me in a little bit of an awkward position. A lot of the slides that I had, a lot of the content that I wanted to present and talk to you about has already been spoken. So, that's a good thing and a bad thing. I won't have to talk too much about it, and you guys already know a lot about customer value and customer experience, so maybe we can have a bit more of an interactive discussion. But what I'll try to do is that during this session, I'll try to show you some new ways in which Visio, which has been a tool that a lot of you guys might have used in your past, can help you move forward in this journey of understanding the customer's value and their journey, even in a much more better, in a much more modern way, if I may say so. Like in the panel discussion that happened earlier, there was a comment that BAs don't have so many hands and they can't have too many heads. So how can they cope up with all that's going on? Customers' expectations are changing, market dynamics are changing. What can be done about it? And I have been a BA for like 8 to 10 years. I'm attending this IABA conference for the 4th time now. And I would love to thank Ashish for getting us all together and in this place. But so think of me when I'm presenting this to you less of as a Visio guy, more of as a BA who has seen the ins and outs of these things, the challenges that we all face in our day-to-day lives. And in some ways, I joined Visio team knowing that I will try and bring the community's requirements to the team and do some kind of an inside job and make this tool an even better tool for all of us. So we'll talk a little bit about customer experience and the focus on that. And I don't think I'll need to talk much about it because much has already been said. And then the need for visualization and what Visio can help, how Visio can help you guys and your customers in the journey for digital transformation. So to start off with, of the Fortune 500 companies in 1955, which was about 62 years ago, if you look at that list, and if you look at the list now, you would realize that probably more than or close to 90% of those companies no longer exist in that list, right? And we've heard many times today, one of the biggest reasons for that is the world is changing so fast that what was a standard business practice till a few months ago is no longer applicable now because a regulation has changed somewhere, some data security leak happened somewhere else, and now you need to take care of something else completely. And essentially, the rate at which these enhancements are happening or these changes are happening, that itself is increasing with every day and every week. So, innovation cycles are becoming shorter and shorter, discoveries are happening faster and faster, trends like telecommuting, being always on, always connected, are propelling the entire financial ecosystem, the customer ecosystem faster at a much forward at a much faster rate. But when I was discussing or when I was listening through the sessions that we had today, one thing struck me was that what is it that has helped the other 11%, The 89% that we talked about have vanished, but what is it that kept possibly those other 11% still alive, still there in those Fortune 500 list, right? And I think if we are to believe whatever discussions we've had today so far, that one thing is customer experience. So the companies out of that list who managed to stay focused on customer experience are the companies that we are seeing surviving now and thriving even now. And I think there was a question in the previous session that what is customer experience, right? Is it the UI UX that we see about an application, or just the first interaction with the customer, etc.? So this is a very standard definition, and I kid you not, I already had this definition in my slide. It is not that after that session I quickly huddled and put together this definition. The definition is very simple. It is the sum of all experiences that the customer is going to have with your organization, right? It is not just the UI UX, it is also the first time he picks up the phone and places an order. It is everything that he does, or he or she does, from that point till the time he's still engaged with your organization, right? And the onus of improving that customer experience and keeping the organization focused on that customer experience is on us, is on the BAs, because we, so many times we hear this, that, okay, Mr. BA or Miss BA, you are the voice of the customer for us in this organization. We don't understand what they want. You go and tell us, you find out and tell us, right? So that's why it's very important for us to be in that position to bear that burden on our shoulders of understanding the customers very, very well and making sure that their entire customer experience is unparalleled. And that's how we can create value for our customers, value for our enterprises, and our stakeholders, right? So customer experience is going to continue and increase in terms of the importance that it has, in terms of the way people are thinking about it, and there are projections which say that customer experience is going to become the defining criteria of why someone will choose one company over the other. People now have, in many situations, they have the luxury of being able to choose, right? Earlier in India, you had only one type of scooter, so you had to buy Bajaj. Now you can, you have thousands of choices, and actually we are too spoiled for choices, right? And in this kind of a scenario, what becomes most important is what the customer takes away when they engage with you, right? The challenging thing with customer experience, though, again, this was talked about earlier, is that it is continuing to evolve, right? The expectations that people have are continuing to evolve rapidly. People used to engage with bankers on a face-to-face way, right? Now, who knows who my investment banker is? That person calls me or sends me an email or sends me a report of my portfolio, and I say yes or no, right? And that's it. So the engagement model has completely transformed, right? And not just that, the way we are doing work, right? How we are understanding these things has also evolved, right? So the way people conduct meetings nowadays has evolved. The way, we used to do whiteboarding, or we used to have sessions or things like that has completely changed, right? Now half of your team is in another part of the world, and you're still having a live discussion with them. So the way that we are approaching or trying to solve the customer experience or take our enterprises forward is also evolving very rapidly. The way content used to be created, the way things used to be discussed, plans used to be made, documentation used to be done, that is changing completely. Somebody is editing that thing on mobile, somebody is giving you his review comments saying that, okay, why don't you make a change to my plan based on this, because I saw that my neighbor has recently bought this new mirror, so I want that kind of a thing on my in my hall as well, right? And the architect is no longer sitting down with him or discussing with him. They're just taking that order on the phone, contacting the vendor, getting it done, and it's all happening in a very mobile-centric way, right? You're not even sitting down to do your work, and you're still going on doing work, right? So there's a bunch of things that have changed, and I'll just play this small video which will show you that this change is not going to stop. It is going to continue. It's going to transform the way we look at business. Sorry. Can I have audio on that?
Over 1 billion people ride elevators each day, which places the industry in a primary role to respond to the challenges of urbanization. ThyssenKrupp's mission is to drive the elevator industry now. We want to do better and want to really push the envelope for what we are doing.
we need to enable our people to use the latest technology possible and available, and HoloLens is such a device where we see potential to serve our customers better.
The introduction of HoloLens to our operations will empower the over 20,000 field service engineers in doing the job better, more efficient, increasing availability of elevators and escalators, makes the job more safe and more fun for our people as well.
The scenario we have developed is really about dispatching a service technician using HoloLens in very different kind of ways.
So as soon as the technician puts on his HoloLens, he already sees, I have a call here, I need to go to this elevator, and then actually sees a 3D picture of the elevator that he's going to work on, and that he can zoom into a part that will offer you also training opportunities.
He goes to the job site prepared, probably better prepared than ever before, because he has the relevant data available to him in the best format possible, and in a variety of ways he can tailor the data towards his need.
The technician, putting on his HoloLens, looking at the elevator, sees the historical notes first, so what has actually happened with this elevator before. He already has all the information right there without having to look for it. It saves a lot of time and a lot of stress and effort.
He gets information on his virtual desktop about the task orders he has to carry out,
The latest safety alerts for that elevator.
He pulls on a 3D replication of that part, pulls it out in an exploded view, and can actually see which part is making the problem.
A major advantage of the HoloLens, of course, is that we are hands-free, and we never had that experience and the capability before.
In the past, the technician needed both of his hands to operate the laptop, and now he just has his HoloLens on.
One of the most important capabilities we see with HoloLens is that we can trigger a remote call to a subject matter expert.
Call Heather.
Hey Jeff, how you doing?
I'm replacing a door board out here, and I kind of want you to check a couple things out.
Okay, let me take a look. Your JP3 is in the right position, and your motor leads are disconnected, so you're good to go.
it takes a lot of stress out, it saves a lot of time, and our field tests have shown that there's a huge potential to increase productivity with that. A job which normally takes 1 to 2 hours and maybe ends up with having the expert traveling to the site, we were able to carrying it out on the first time in less than 20 minutes. And what we are striving to do at ThyssenKrupp Elevator is really creating new interesting technologies to build the city of tomorrow.
Right, so I could have picked many videos to show you this kind of a sci-fi kind of a scenario, but I picked one which is actually a little lame. It's not a very hi-fi kind of a thing. But what I wanted to emphasize was that 80% of the workforce that is going to be employed tomorrow is going to be field workers. They are not going to be people who are knowledge workers that we are used to interacting with, but they are the people who will drive the customer's experience. They are going to be the touch points of the customer with your organization. It will not be, it might not be the UX that you have so carefully designed. It might be the person who is fixing that elevator, how soon he is able to fix it, how quickly he is able to get the things done, right? So what's going to be very important is to realize that we need to broaden our thinking to include all these touch points when we are considering or when we are thinking about customer experience and not just user experience, right? So, we've talked a little bit about how the world is changing, how it's going to change in the future and the rate is going to accelerate. But there's one thing which is, falling short in this whole inundation of data and information, and that is the lack of human attention, the ability of us to be able to focus on a particular task at hand, to be able to quickly make a judgment, right? That is becoming more and more important because we are always interrupted by one thing or the other, and that is another challenge for us as business analysts and designers to see how can we get our user the maximum value for what he wants to do in the shortest amount of time, right? And I don't want to say that I have the answer for this puzzle as well, but there is a clue that we have, right? And the clue is that there is one faculty that we use most in our day-to-day lives to assess situations, and that has evolved evolutionarily over billions of years to give us that edge, and that is the sight, right? So we can process information when it is presented to us in a pictorial fashion or in an image fashion much, much faster. There are so many sayings about it, picture is worth 1,000 words and whatnot. And it's now been scientifically proven also that you can parse the content of what would take you a few minutes in a 13 millisecond time frame if that same content is presented visually to you, right? You kind of get the drift of where I'm going, I suppose, right? That the answer for being able to assess or to address some of the challenges that we are seeing is to start working more visually, right? And that's not a new idea, right? 2,000 years ago, sorry, 20,000 years ago, we have cave dwellings which show us that humans learned to draw. And why do you think they were trying to do that, right? Yes, it looks very artistic and all that, but they were trying to solve a problem, right? There was probably a problem that they were trying to solve, that okay, how are we going to hunt the deer next time so that we have food in our cave for the night, right? So we have these cave paintings which show that people have been thinking visually for the longest amount of time. And if we look at today's visualizations, they are again a way for us to solve problems, a way for us to understand the surroundings that we have and be able to react to them, right? So whether we look at those cave paintings of how people wanted to hunt, or whether we look at customer journeys where we are trying to hunt customers, no, where we're trying to help customers, it is just a way for us to to lay down our thoughts, to plan for things, to be able to ready for the challenges that are in our path ahead, right? So this one, is a very standard. I think we saw a bunch of these today, customer journey maps, which shows that okay, customer starts from here, learns about the product on social media. Then again, there are a bunch of digital hotspots where there might be problems, or where he might be having to shift from one device to another device, or one form of representation to another form of representation. And unless and until we put this entire thing into perspective, there is no way for us as BAs to be able to solve this problem, right? There's no way for us to give a holistic solution to this problem, right? And again, you can take any sort of problem, whether it is a banking customer service journey, or there is a professional services client journey, but using very simple and very consistent constructs, you can boil down that experience, that knowledge that you have, and put it down in a form that people can share, people can collaborate, people can exchange ideas on, right? And again, the onus in this case is on us, the BAs, to be able to put the whole picture together, right? As kids, we have always heard about this story about 4 blind men or 4 people in a dark room looking at or trying to figure out what kind of an animal is there, and they, somebody thinks it's a serpent, and the other guy thinks it's a pillar, etc., right? Because they're not able to see the whole picture. That's what's missing in that whole story. The moral of the story is very simple, that unless and until you get the whole picture, you're not able to understand what the elephant in the room is, right? So, BAs in organizations, I have been in this role for a long time. This is what I used to do before joining Microsoft. So my group started off with the premise that, okay, we are a hedge fund, but we want to optimize our processes and our costs and deliver value to our customers in the form of up-to-date financial statements so that they can make further calls on whether they want to stay invested with us or they want to take out the money. That was the direction that was given to our group. And when we started looking at it, it turned out that there is no one single point that we can start fixing this problem. What was required first was to lay out the map, right? Create the layout of the problem, create the layout of the land, and then start attacking it from various angles, right? If we wanted to fix it only from one place, we probably would have created a hole somewhere else, right? So what was really important for us, and that's what helped me in my career, was to be able to put it down in sheets of paper, through process maps, through customer journey maps, through use case diagrams, and show our senior leadership that, okay, look, this is what's happening today. You might think that this is how your company really works, but that's not how it is. This is what it is. This is how it works, right? And once that picture was put very clearly in front of our senior leadership, then they were able to figure out that, okay, if we have to solve this problem, we need to apply some pressure from this side, we need to increase the quality on this side, we need to add more resources on this side, right? Unless you do that holistic resolution, you will end up solving one problem but creating probably another problem, right? So we talked about these kind of customer journey maps being created manually or through the use of sticky notes on large walls, right? That's absolutely perfect, wonderful way of doing something like this, right? You should start with this thing. You should have as many stakeholders as you can invite. I think one comment that was made earlier was that sometimes if the real stakeholders are not participating in the customer journey creation, then the solutions that come out of that exercise have no real value, right? So do whatever works best in your organization, but get this holistic picture out so that you can start working on it, right? But then there was another question that was asked in the last presentation, which was that, okay, are there any tools to help us with something like this, right? And one of the tools which, again, has been used by BAs for a long time is Visio. And some of our very enthusiastic customers have even equated us with pen and paper. So they've said that this is the best invention since pen and paper. I use it to organize complex ideas very constantly. It saves countless hours of discussions in meetings where no one can adequately convey their ideas. You just put it in Visio and, oh, I get it now, right? So that kind of aha moment happens when people see things visually, because what that does is that it triggers their cortex, which has again evolved over millennia to be able to assimilate and understand information very quickly. So what I'll do today is just take you through some of the new exciting things that the Visio team has put together, which can help BAs even further after this quick video.
We have so much data coming in. I'm looking at our booking numbers. I'm looking at how many passengers we're getting in, how many calls we're taking in, and all of that data piles up. Visio allows you to take all of this data and then visualize it and use it and share it in a much easier fashion. Visio allows us to optimize the end user's experience when they're on a phone call with one of our direct clients or travel agents. The flowcharts that we create allow them to quickly get the answer that they need. We can import an AutoCAD file, but it's so much more than that. You can link the live data that may be streaming into an Excel file that's being updated into Visio that will show you that person's stats. Call center managers will be able to see, okay, this person is on red, this person is yellow. Anybody with a web browser can use Visio Online. With Office 365, I'm able to integrate real-time data and see what's going on in the call center. I'm able to collaborate with my counterparts. We're so far apart, but working together at the same time on the same file, it's perfect. Whenever a curveball comes at you, you have to be prepared. Visio helps us to be able to visualize that curveball and tells them swing or don't swing. If we don't look at the data of today, we can't improve tomorrow. So our customers can actually go on and have the best vacation possible. Because without our customers, we have nothing. My name is Victor, and I use Visio to visualize data to help bring dream vacations to life.
Our marketing does a pretty good job at videos, right? So yeah, if you use Visio, you're gonna be happy like that guy, and enjoy all the parties. But moving back to a little bit serious, on a serious note. So what we have tried to do is that we have tried to improve certain aspects of how business analysts tend to use Visio. And again, this is I have a slide about it right at the very end. But within Microsoft and within our team, we try to be very customer focused, right? So that's why, in some sense, I'm here talking to you guys who are, in some sense, my customers. And we've come here before, we've talked before, we've taken your feedback and tried to incorporate that in the product. Believe me that the feedback that we've got from this audience, the IIBA audience, has been really instrumental in trying to fine-tune certain features or prove some of the hypotheses that we had about how we should evolve this product further. And I would love that if you guys continue to provide me that feedback even today and tomorrow also when we have a few more sessions, or offline whenever you want. So the big change that we have done based on looking at how BAs use Visio is to make Visio move from something that was only data linked to something that is becoming data driven now. What that means is that some of the capabilities that you saw in that video, like you could create a dashboard out of Visio and put it online and then have data flow in automatically into Visio, those things were already there. But those things don't really, are not the starting point for this customer journey exercise or for the process mapping exercise, right? What is happening today is that we have loads of data, scores of rows in Excel sheets or databases, but we just don't know what to do with it, right? We just don't know how to get a handle about it. Only if somebody could tell me what is really hidden in this data, that would be something of great use to us as business analysts, right? So we've taken cues from that, and it's a journey that we have embarked upon, where we're trying to make Visio more data driven. And one of the first things that I'll show you today is a small thing in that context, and that's our new capability in Visio to be able to create process maps from data that you might have already captured in an Excel sheet, right? So typical, we heard from our customers and business analysts that a very common way for people to document processes or customer journey maps and things like that is to just talk to the stakeholders, to talk to the customers, to talk to subject matter experts, and quickly write those things down, right? It's a little hard sometimes unless you're in front of a whiteboard to be able to draw things and capture that workflow. So many times there is already either existing workflow documentation available, or you just get a Word file or an Excel file with the process steps listed down, right? And all BAs, and I was one, so I know that we used to dread that, oh my goodness, now this 100 line, 100 row document has come to me and I have to convert it into a process map, right? The boss would say, yeah, you've got all the information that you asked for, now just go ahead, make a process map out of it, right? How hard can that be? But we know that it's not an easy thing, and that's something that we've tried to make easy with some of the new capabilities in Visio. So I'll quickly show it to you, and somebody told me that trying to do live demos in presentations is always risky, but because other people spoke everything that I wanted to speak, I am left with no choice. And hopefully everything will work perfectly as it should in all demos, but we all know. So I'm pointing it to that same Excel sheet, write off from decision tree. So this is a sort of live data about some of the cash collection related process that is followed at Microsoft, how vendors submit their bills and how they are paid. So once I pointed Visio to that Excel sheet, it has identified that there is a table in that. Let me just check that I picked the right Excel sheet. Yeah, it has already figured out that there's a table in that, and when I'm doing next, it's going to ask me a bunch of questions to help it map the data that is available over there. But once I do that, so I can say that, okay, the process description looks like there's a column here called process step description. Maybe that's the one that I should pick. Shape type, okay, let's see. There's somebody has captured that this is a data ingestion step or this is a process step. So I can put it here, and without showing you all the steps, there aren't that many after this, there are just a couple more. But I just press finish, and you have your process map created already. Oh, I picked up an existing file, so you're seeing the wireframe that I was trying to draw, because I think somebody was asking, can Visio do wireframes? And I was like, of course, it was built to do wireframes for the longest time. So, so as you can see, it has taken the data, ingested it, and converted it into a process diagram. It has already figured out that, okay, these are the functions that are involved in this step, in this process. It has already created and tried to lay it out the best it could based on the data that is already present in the Excel sheet, right? But we didn't want to just stop over there. What we wanted to do is that, okay, this is one way of depicting a process, but this is not the industry standard way. The industry standard way for most of these kind of scenarios is BPMN. I think you guys must be familiar with it, and BPMN has a very well-defined notation for some of these, for what is to be shown as process, as a task, as a subtask, start and states and all that. And Visio, of course, has a template for it. So Visio, for those who might not have used it, is a very template-oriented, stencil-oriented system where you can have stencils of shapes, and this is what I was fearing a little bit, that it will start acting up. As you can see, you have a shape set or a stencil which has BPMN shapes here. And let me take another example to show that it's not just a one-trick pony. You can actually create any type of process map. So this is another example. Again, you're seeing some rows over here which indicate the steps in the process, the responsible teams, the responsible divisions, and some more data about the cost, the completion status, and things like that. So what you can do with Visio now is that you can just go into your data tab. You can say create me a nice looking process diagram with it, and pick it up. It will look for the table. Once it has done that, it will suck in the data. And the engineers at Microsoft, they love creating extensible systems. So what they've done is that they've given the users the capability to map the incoming data to any type of stencil that you can load in Visio. So I'll show you a step where it will let me pick the type of stencil that I have. It could be a BPMN stencil, it could be a custom stencil that your organization uses, that you have carefully put together. It can be sorry, let me just quickly finish the mapping. So function or swim lane, so responsible team looks like a good one for that. Phases or timelines, so I think the workflow seems to move from one division to the other. So I mapped that. Process step description, shape type. So what we've done is that we've built in a lot of heuristics so that even trying to figure out what columns to map should not be an onus on the BA. It should automatically try and figure that thing out. And once you've done that, you can move forward, and this time instead of picking the basic flowchart shapes, I can pick up the BPMN shapes, and I can drag and drop and say that, okay, instead of decision, I want to use the gateway. Instead of document, I want to use a data object. Instead of start end, I want to use the end event for end and the start event for start. And for process, I want to use task, right? Now, what this will enable is that once I create this kind of a process map, you can export this kind of a process map, and the exported definition will be a BPMN compliant definition, and that can be imported straight away into any of your existing BPEL or business process execution language related engines, right? So as you can see over here, what this has done is that not only it has created that data, saved you a couple of hours, it has taken care of making sure that the tasks and the task types are appropriately tagged, right? So the send email to company things have this nice icon over here showing that this is email substep, customer approval has the appropriate steps, etc., etc. But we are greedy. This is also not enough. We want more. What we want is that actually, why not just start using this kind of a process map in the form of a dashboard, right? Why should we have to now involve our developers and ask them to code it up, and they'll prioritize it in their backlog and all these nice agile terms that we've started to hear about, right? That this is going to happen in that sprint and that scrum. Why do all of that? Visio is smart enough. It has already picked out that, okay, because in your Excel sheet you already had some data rows. Visio can show them to you over here usually, unless in this case it doesn't. So let me just quickly map the data. Right. So as you can see that the shape data has already been mapped over here. So whatever values were available in this Excel sheet, they are available to me now in that Visio diagram. And what I can do is that I can convert this simple Visio diagram into a dashboard by applying data graphics right here. So let's say I want to say that the things which are in an incomplete state or or in an incomplete state need to be tagged with a red color and things like that. or based on the cost I want to give them some icons and things like that. What I can do is I can go to data, I can go to advanced data graphics and say that create a new data graphic based on the field which was, let's say, cost, and display it as color by value. High cost things I want to show as red, low cost things as green. I just say okay, okay. You want to apply this to this shape? Yes. You want to apply, I could have applied it to all the shapes, and now my flowchart is looking much more like a dashboard that I can have people look at on a day-to-day basis. What you can do now is just take this Visio diagram, put it on your SharePoint, and give the link out to everybody. You have a ready-made web-based dashboard available without any coding, or anything of that sort. Right now I use Excel as an example. You can connect that online dashboard to some other data sources, and it can become a live dashboard as well. Still, this is not enough. We wanted to do more because everybody is talking about business intelligence and data warehousing and all of those things. So we said that okay, fine. If even this kind of process maps and process dashboards are not enough for you, we went a step further. And what we've started doing now is that we have started being able to provide the capability of embedding any Visio diagram inside your business intelligence dashboards. So this, what you're looking at, is a very simple Power BI, which is Microsoft's BI tool, a Power BI dashboard. But this part that you're seeing over here is a Visio diagram. Right now I'm showing a slightly complex diagram, which is the layout of a store, a retail store. But it could be anything. It could be as simple as a process map or a flow chart, or as complex as a real world diagram. And so basically any type of visual that you can create in Visio, now you can import into your Power BI dashboards. And again, this was not enough. People just don't want to look at things. People want to play with things. People want to do analysis. They want to see that, oh, I see a dip in my graph over here. What's happening? Why is this product not selling? So these long sleeved shirts, looks like there is some problem with those. And let's say my BI data is telling me that these things sell very well in other stores. The problem could be specific to this store, and by being able to visually traverse that store alongside my business intelligence information, what I can do is that I can hone in on exactly the problems that are being reflected for those particular items. So in this case, when I click on these two things, I realize that both of the items which are not selling very well in this store seem to be located in one corner, and there looks to be some construction work that is happening in that corner, and that's possibly why people are having a hard time. So this work in progress icon is showing me that there is some construction work happening over here, and that's probably why people are having a hard time reaching these stores, right? So what we have done over here is something what we are calling unified dashboards. So things which like your operational intelligence information on one hand, and your BI information on the other hand, the business intelligence information on the other hand. It was typically very hard to bring these two things together. And you guys have all been in IT companies, so you can imagine that if you would have asked one of your dev teams to come up with a dashboard like this, which could take factory floor maps or PNID diagrams or process maps, simple process maps for that matter, and try to embed those in these kind of dashboards, how many months would have been the expected time for having to create something like that, right? But still, we didn't want to stop even at that. The next step that I'm showing you over here is that not only can you embed these diagrams in your BI dashboards, but you can also overlay real-time information on top of it, right? We are moving into the world of IoT devices, and IoT devices are not placed in the process map or in a bar chart or in a graph, right? IoT devices are placed in the real world, right? And you need a real world layout to be able to understand what is going on exactly in which place wherever these IoT devices have been deployed, right? So this is an example where, again, this thing which is a Visio diagram, it has been embedded in inside Power BI, and the data stream that you're seeing from over here is a simulation of IoT data being sent via Power BI and being overlaid on top of Visio. So, this is kind of where we decided to stop. So things which we can convey visually, once they get integrated with the data that is coming from our data warehouses, that is when things start making sense for humans. That is when people can take action upon those things. That is when people can decide that, okay, this is where we need to fix a problem, right? And that's why, for business analysts and for decision makers, it is very important to have this kind of a canvas where they can actually put down these things, right? Let me go back to the slide deck. So, just a little bit of a pitch for Visio. So, who uses Visio? We know that folks, there are more than 12 million users, believe it or not, of Visio across the world, and they come from all sorts of industries: manufacturing, financial services, retail, factory operations, of course IT, and HR. And I've heard the strangest of use cases since I've joined Visio, whether it is monitoring a hospital, monitoring a casino, managing the layout of a casino, to how the games are played in a soccer field or in a baseball field. So people just use it wherever possible, and the reason for that, again, so this just talks about all the 94% of the Fortune 100 companies use Visio. There are 12 million users, 250,000 shapes in the content ecosystem. So I think earlier there was a question about customer journey maps, and I just Googled and I saw that some guy has created a template for customer journey maps using Visio. He sells it for $10. Just use that template, and if you ever need to take that giant wall of sticky notes and convert it into a customer journey map, you can start doing that using Visio. So there's pretty much every type of visualization that you can create using Visio, whether it is organization charts, timelines, brainstorming diagrams, etc., etc. And till now, the problem was that a lot of these documents were locked up in Visio, because Visio was a desktop-only product. Not everybody had access to it. So what we have done over the last few years is made it much more easier to collaborate on a Visio drawing. So you just need to host it in your OneDrive or SharePoint or any such host, and you can just give that link to your client or to your vendor, and those guys can start coming in and start putting comments on it, or start giving feedback on that, right? So that online collaboration and communication challenge that we run into, we've taken care of that already. Another cool thing that we have done is that people used to say that, okay, we've created diagrams in Visio, but I need to present it to my execs, my senior leadership, and it used to be a hard thing for people to do that. Now we have created a way in Visio to very simply create slide decks out of it. So let's say this cash application process that we were looking at, I want to present it to my for a review meeting or something like that. I just open up this new slide snippets pane, and I can quickly mark out these. So these are from my previous attempt. Let me delete those, and I can just quickly view slide snippets pane. Okay, view, and just say add slide snippets, and I can start quickly adding areas which I want the people to focus on, and kind of lay it out as a walkthrough of the customer journey or of a process, and to keep people's attention focused on different areas. And I just say export, and it creates a beautiful presentation for me. And again, not just the presentation, but it also does a bit of animation if it plays, yeah. So you can actually pan through the diagram or through the customer journey map and take your decision makers through the flow very conveniently. So, and again, I would like to emphasize that as a program manager, it was not us who thought of these scenarios. We talked to people, we listened to our customers who were the business analysts, and heard from them that these are the requirements, these are the pain points that they are experiencing, whether it is converting data into diagrams or diagrams back into presentations. and we responded to those, and we are seeing very good feedback from our customers about this, right? So I talked about the collaboration. So people can already post comments on shapes once the diagram has been uploaded onto SharePoint. What we're also going to introduce pretty soon is the ability to start communicating using Skype and stuff like that within Visio itself, so you don't need to leave the application, you are in that context, but you're having, let's say, a remote call and you want to discuss the process flow in more detail, you can do that. This just walks through the process flow for that. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the Visio online creation. So again, people still had this requirement that I don't want to deploy or install Visio because I use it occasionally, or my clients don't want to install it. How do I share things with them? How do I allow them to edit it? So one of the things that we are working on right now, and again I would love your feedback on what you would like to see in this new avatar of Visio, is the ability to create and edit diagrams online itself. So again, I'll show you a quick demo of that, how it looks like, and I would love to hear from you today and tomorrow about what more you guys think we need to have here. So this is what we are calling our getting started experience, and I'm a little wary of the Wi-Fi in this room, but I'll still give it a shot. So one of the other asks that we had heard from our customers was that many times people don't even know what they can do with Visio. So what we have created is a very simple getting started experience. You can come in here, you can see what types of diagrams you would like to create. It's almost like a shopping cart of the best thing that you want, and all shopping carts need to have search, so this one also does. So let's say I'm a hospital administrator, or I'm trying to create a healthcare related process flow chart. I just type it in over here. I see that, okay, there are some charts available for a medical patient process. I click on that, I create it, and right within your browser, you will start seeing a slightly more modern version of the Visio application, slightly less clumsier, slightly less intimidating is what I would say. And once it opens up, that's taking a little time, so I just move to another window. You can start creating your diagram. So what it does is that it starts you off with a template, again saving you time. Time is, as we all know, extremely precious in all scenarios. So it helps you get started and get started diagramming very, very quickly. And again, this is very, very touch friendly, what we are creating over here, so that you can do this kind of diagramming not just on your laptops or desktops, but also on the move. So let's say you are in a customer meeting, you have this diagram on your iPad or Surface device or Android device, and you just want to take the customer's input, make some changes into the diagram really quickly, and share it back with them. So you can do all of that online. You'll have all the stencils and templates being added over here. So right now we've started with the basic diagramming templates, but very soon we will be adding the cross-functional flowcharts, marketing diagrams, all sorts of symbols, etc., to help people create beautiful diagrams online itself, right? So as you can see over here, again, when we are creating, so at every step essentially, whether it was about data to diagram, whether it is about diagram to presentation, or sharing that diagram in a dashboard, at every step what we've tried to do is cut short the amount of time that our customers are having to spend creating these artifacts. And again, all of that has been based on feedback from valued customers. So you'll see that we've introduced a bunch of new shapes, modern looking shapes, well formatted already for you, so that you don't have to spend time tweaking your diagram to look just the way you want it. So this is what I would like to end my session with, is that this is our customer life cycle. We as Visio team, we do our research, the demographic studies I think that were referred to earlier, we do that kind of research. We do customer validations, we show our prototypes to customers, we get their feedback from it. We do a lot of UX research, so a lot of UX lab sessions where we ask our users to play with our prototypes while we are looking at them through looking glass and observe where they are getting stuck. And then we present the work that we are doing at conferences like this so that we can get feedback from a broader audience. We have some one-on-one interactions with people, and then we handhold our early adopters, because no matter how hard you want to make or no matter how much you try to make the perfect prototype or the perfect product, there is like, in my experience, there's like 60-70% chance that the first time actual users see it and actual users start using it, there are going to be gaps, right? There are going to be issues where which you would not have been able to find in any user study. And that is where being agile is important. That is where realizing that, okay, we had this plan, we had prioritized these features, but look, our customer feedback is telling us something completely different. And that is where the agility comes into play of how fast you can react to that and incorporate those features to make your customer's experience even better. And then we have our regular customer feedback channels. So whether they are online forums or events or people sending us mails, we continuously listen to that. So we have a process where every ticket that comes in or every request or every suggestion that comes in is allowed for voting by the community, and the features that the community votes highest are the things that we bubble up in our backlog also. So I just wanted to, again, this was not something that was originally there in my slides, but I thought that because we've been talking a lot about customer experience, being agile, I could share something from my own experience and how we do things that could be of help to everyone. So that's pretty much it from my side. As I mentioned, please join us in creating this new product. One thing that I'm very proud of is that right now the entire Visio product team is based out of Hyderabad, so it's kind of a made in India product going forward. So I would love to get feedback from all of you to make it a stellar product going forward. So you can reach out to us on Twitter, on Facebook, or sign up on this link aka.ms/visio-new, or just send us an old-fashioned email. Now email has become old-fashioned. Snail mail used to be old-fashioned earlier. You can send us an old-fashioned email at tellvisio@microsoft.com and get in touch with us. There was a comment that somebody had made that if you want to get something fixed in Indian Railways, you just write to Twitter. So we kind of also follow that policy. If you reach out to Twitter, reach out to us on Twitter, you might get a faster reaction. But that's the changing world that we live in. Every so often, every few months, whatever was new becomes old, and whatever in some cases was old becomes new again. But one thing that stays constant is our ability to visualize, our ability to see things, our ability to derive meaning out of it. And that is what I would love all of us BAs to utilize more, right? As a BA, I've seen my team members struggling in communicating their ideas. Maybe it was because of lack of communication skills, maybe the language was a barrier, maybe the accent was a barrier, the phone connection was bad, right? But once you put it down in a picture, first of all, you need to synthesize those ideas to boil it to a place where you can actually draw something, and then when you share it, the other person also finds it very easy to understand, right? So let's look beyond just text and just requirements documents and those boring old things, and move to a more visual way of communication, whether you use Visio for it or any other product. I think this is something that your senior leadership would love, your customers, your stakeholders, everybody just loves to see things in pictures, right? And like how we talked about earlier, attention spans are reducing, pictures convey a lot more meaning in a lot less time, all right? So thank you all for being a lovely audience. If you guys have any questions, you can please ask me. Right.
So could you
Right.
just repeat?
That's a very interesting question. So the question is that how about integrating Visio with other tools like Salesforce, Jira, other CRM systems? Microsoft itself has Dynamics 365, etc. So that's definitely something that's on our roadmap. The big impediment that we had why we couldn't do a lot of these integrations was because Visio was a desktop product so far. Now we have taken the first step in the journey of bringing it online. the online canvas, the way we are developing it is trying to make it very extensible. So not just these applications, but let's say tomorrow you want to write your own application, and you just need a visual canvas in it. You just want to show a sales process in it, or you just want to show a hospital in it, or anything of that sort, or an org chart in it, right? You will be able to import Visio into your web applications, and you will be able to programmatically interact with it. So that's when we believe that we will be solving this problem. This is something that again we are seeing again and again, that people try to invent their own visual canvases for their applications, and they fall short of it because they can only do a half-hearted job at it. They are not dedicated into that product or that kind of a product investment that is required to create a good canvas which is interactive, which lets you align shapes, etc., etc., etc. We are a company which does that for a living. So the only thing that was stopping us from being integrated with these kind of tools was our inability to be on the web. We've conquered that challenge. Now you will see. Hopefully, you will very soon see more such integrations possible with Visio. But it takes time. So, anything else? All right, thanks once again, and there's another session that I have at 11 a.m. tomorrow, I think, where I'll go into a little bit more detail about how you can do this kind of process mapping and process modeling and process monitoring. Today I just showed you a quick glimpse of these kind of things. Tomorrow we can go into one level deeper so that, let's say you guys want to start using it, you know exactly what to do. So you're all welcome. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh.